back to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking about how to prepare for your Casper 2023 tests. These scenarios are designed to test your critical thinking, ethical reasoning, and communication skills. I'm currently doing my bridging program from LPN to RN, and I believe that my Casper score really affected my chances of getting into this university that I'm in now. So I wanted to share some tips because after being in the program and seeing how competitive it was, because it was in the midst of the pandemic and a lot of LPNs were trying to bridge their careers into registered nursing. However, there are a lot of limited educational pathways for LPNs to bridge into RNs in BC. So it was a highly competitive program. There's mixed information about how many applicants applied to what was said, and there were only 30 spots. So imagine, some said there was over 1,000, some said there was only 500. Irregardless, I was one of the 30 chosen to be in this program, and I'm very grateful. Although I do have to say, like, of course I worked hard for my scores and everything, and I just wanted to share my Casper tips with all of you guys, because I must say this was my second time doing my Casper test, and after receiving very low marks for the first one, because I didn't prepare for it, because I thought I'm an LPN already, obviously I know how to handle situations. That is not the case with the Casper test. I must stress that, because the Casper is very different, where they want you to approach every situation from the same point of view, whereas in nursing a lot of factors and variables change, and you don't always react to certain situations in a certain way. So I'm going to be sharing my tips with you. Of course, I have made a note, so I will be referring to my notes here. However, I will link some of the key notes down below. There is a description limit as far as characters and length, so I can't include everything I'm talking about, but hopefully you get through this video. If not, another nursing tip for you guys is I always go down here or here in the settings, and then I always put it to like 1.5, 1.75, 2x speed if you can. I tend to talk very fast if I'm talking to like my friends and stuff, so usually I can interpret very fast. So that's just another tip, especially in nursing school when you're listening to hour-long lectures in English and you just want to get the content. So yeah, here we go. So Casper stands for, it's CASP and then ER, so CASP stands for Computer-Based Assessment Sampling Personal Characteristics. It's a test basically that a lot of universities use. Med school uses it too, just to see their personal and professional characteristics. The first thing is obviously you have to sign up for your exam. Make sure you have the specific dates, because certain dates are aligned with your school. So once you know all the schools that you want and if they're gonna have you take the Casper test or not, then you can select the schools, etc. If you're applying to multiple schools, your one Casper test can apply as your score for the multiple schools. You don't have to rewrite the test. There is a fee. I think when I paid for it, it was $75. I'm unsure if inflation has affected this price as well. And then you just want to kind of scour the site. So it does have a lot of key things that will be on your exam. So they will give you like a checklist somewhat. You're checking your Wi-Fi speed, etc. with this website that they'll link you to, and then it shows you if it's an acceptable rate. You're gonna need a webcam for this, so if you're comfortable in your room doing it with your laptop and your webcam works, that's totally perfect. I do know somebody who used a public library computer, and she was in Toronto at the time. I'm in BC, and she was in Toronto. She bussed all the way there, and she got charged like $40 for trying to use a webcam, and she used it in a public space. But it was totally fine because the adjudicator is looking at you while you're answering your questions, etc. Whatever means necessary, like, you know, do your exam. But if you do have time, it would be nice that you could prepare all of the tools and everything that you need, so like your webcam, computer, silent area. And with that, this is one of my tips that I want to share, is have a professional background. So when I did my test, I set it up as if I was doing a YouTube video basically, because I wanted to have my persona be professional. I wore a professional like sweater, like it even says in the descriptions on the Casper website, try not to be on your bed. So I mean, like, somebody's going to be watching you act professional, be professional. You're getting tested on your mindfulness of professionalism, but what about like your presentation, you know, kind of like coincides with that, because if you have one thing but you don't have another. So just want to say that that's one of my tips. I wore like a preppy like argyle cardigan. I wore my glasses, you know, just in case. I do have reading glasses, but I can function without glasses, but I chose to wear them. And I had my water with me and like paper. I took it like it was a legit exam. Just try to be as comfortable as you can, but also professional. So once you're checking out the Casper information, there's a few questions, and each question is linked to a scenario. So say you have a minute long scenario, you're gonna have 3 questions, and you're gonna have about 5 minutes to answer the questions based on the scenario. The timer starts and you see all 3 questions. You're typing into the blanks, but make sure that you are typing fast. So that's another thing. You need to have your typing speed up to date. Just check and see what your typing speed is. I'll link some typing tests down below. I did take this, although I've been told before that my typing was fast. However, you think it's fast, but is it accurate as well? That's another thing. For myself, I do type fast, but it's not as accurate, so I set aside about 45 seconds at the end to just fix any grammatical errors. Although it doesn't count towards your final score, I believe that in some sense it's somewhat professionalism, so you should be checking your grammatical errors, typos, etc. And another thing that I will say with each scenario, a different person is watching you while you're answering the question. So I believe that they're watching you while you are watching the case scenario, so be mindful of any like facial reactions. Like they throw curveballs in the sense that it's like somebody has like dramatic acting, and you don't want to be like, oh my god, they said that, and like have like crazy facial expressions, because then that's not professional. Another thing is like they'll have like different kind of characters, show different things, you know. You just want to have a neutral face and act very professional even while you're watching the video. And then while you're typing, act, you know, be professional. You're typing, very engaged. You're allowed to have scrap piece of paper there if you want while you're watching the video, and just show a cool, calm, collected demeanor so that it is understandable that you are professional. And you can take mock tests. That's the best way to practice for these exams. A lot of med schools, for example, there is this test prep / like college coaching website. It's called BMO. A lot of the videos that I watched were other professors and doctors talking about the Casper test. However, it is very lengthy and some of the information is quite dated, but a lot of it is very repetitive. I'm gonna give it to you straight here. Like, throw away everything you've learned about how to answer a question, and this is how you're gonna answer a question on the Casper test, okay? So first of all, you're gonna watch the video. Be calm, watch the video. Take some notes if you want to. The first thing you're gonna say when they're like, okay, so let's say this is the scenario. This is one of my scenarios in the Casper test that I took last year. I'm gonna narrate it because I'm not gonna like, yeah. So it was 2 friends on a couch, and then one of them was talking about how they had an old laptop and they wanted to sell it. They didn't really need the money, so they didn't care how much they sold it for, and they were conversing about that. Suddenly, the third friend comes over and says, oh my gosh, I just spilled water all over my laptop. I don't know what to do. I really need a laptop, blah, 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 but I don't have the money for it right now. And then it kind of cuts there. And then it asks you like, oh, should the first person that had the laptop that doesn't need it anymore, should they give it to the other person? And then it was like, oh, should the other person pay the other person? So it was kind of like there's no right answer. And then what you want to say in your typed out format is, due to the limited information in this video, I would have to get some more details, period. Because you don't know anything, right? That's the kind of perspective that you want to have in each case scenario. You don't know the whole story and you need to talk to everybody. So after that, you're going to want to say, I would like to pull person 1 aside and talk to them privately about what they would want to do in this situation, etc., whatever. Second, and then you want to add that you're going to talk to every person individually in a private, non-judgmental way with open-ended communication, and etc. Stuff like that, you know. And you want to make it a point to, one, limited information. You don't know the whole story. You want to pull everyone aside. You want to talk to everyone. Open communication, non-judgmental, open-ended questions, etc. And then you kind of just want to leave it at that. There's no answer to the question, and you can't input like, oh, this person should da da da. No, they don't want that. They want you to assess the situation, ask everyone what's going on, etc. That's kind of like what I remember and what I can tell you that brought me through to the 4th quartile. Because they do it like that they don't tell you like, oh, you got 86%, it's quartile. So the next thing is that you're gonna want to keep practicing this, because it could throw you off when you're thrown into like a different situation and the problem isn't actually the same thing. The conflict is weird, you don't really know like what to do. You just want to keep practicing the mindset of, I'm gonna assess the situation, I don't have all the information and all the details. I'm gonna talk to this person, I'm gonna talk to that person, non-confrontational, non-judgmental, etc, etc. Be concise, because you have limited time and you might think, oh, 5 minutes, I have a lot of time. It goes by so fast, you have no idea. I'm gonna set up a mock Casper test so that you guys can see. It's gonna be really long because the Casper test is an hour long, but I'm gonna have you just, you know, see everything going on and see how you're answering all the questions, etc. You don't really need a coach or anything, but I think if you have the right self-awareness on like how to answer a question, then you can get far in this Casper test. Another thing, just to help you use keywords that the evaluators may be asking for, on the Casper test website on the bottom, you're gonna see all these symbols of what the Casper test assesses for. I'm gonna read them out right now. It's collaboration, communication, empathy, equity, ethics, motivation, problem solving, professionalism, resilience, and self-awareness. You're gonna wanna try to add some of these words in your paragraphs and short answers while you're answering any questions. These could definitely set you farther in the scoring process, and just to show your preparedness and professionalism while you're taking the test. Another thing that was said was to be mindful of your school's missions and values. That is key. If you want, that's good enough, but I feel like knowing what the Casper test assesses for and including keywords, those are good enough. But if you want to add other filler words, I don't think universities actually look at your Casper test and your answers. I think they're just looking at your score. So I just want to reiterate, so on the test day, make sure you're dressing the part, be professional. Just remember, you don't have to vary your words, you don't have to, it's not like reading your whole test is one essay and your teacher's gonna be like, oh, they said that again like this, oh, they formatted this the same as that, this looks the same as that. None of that matters. Each question, like video case scenario with the following questions, is marked by a different person, so don't even be ashamed to be using the same words, the same values that the Casper test assesses for, same sentences, same format. It doesn't matter as long as you get all the information out there. That's why you have to practice. And remember to use the sandwich theory. So based on the limited information, and then talk to each person privately. Do not come to conclusions, and have non-judgmental, open-ended conversation, open communication regarding the matter to get their perspective on the situation. There is also one wild card in the Casper test, so it's gonna ask you some random question. There's no video, it's just gonna be some random question. So one time I got like, why do you want to be a nurse? And then the other time, I think it was how did you overcome a time that you experienced adversity, etc. It's like one of those questions. Oh, another one maybe like, what's your biggest weakness? How did you overcome that weakness? What are ways that you're working on yourself to overcome this weakness? Stuff like that. Sometimes it's 2 questions, sometimes it's 1, sometimes it's 3. So you just never know. So just kind of have something prepared in your mind to talk about, depending on your level in English or how good you are on manipulating situations. You could always apply that into different case scenarios. So say there's a wild card and there's one question, you read it, and you're not doing the format where you're reading all the questions first, because that could just be wasting time for yourself. Say you're reading one question, typing, second question, typing, third question, typing. It doesn't matter if you've overlapped some information, or say the second one applies to the third. Everything gets marked all together, but ideally, obviously, if you're organized, etc., you're gonna get more points, you know? Stuff like that. It's like the little things that you think don't matter, maybe they matter, because a long time ago, once upon a time, the Casper website said that there's no way to prepare for Casper until all these aggressive Ivy League med school nurse keeners wanted more, because how do you not study for a test? And so now they're saying obviously it is advised that you slightly prepare, because when I first took it they said you can't prepare for it, and universities keep saying that you still can't prepare for it. However, it has been updated that the Casper test, which is now being called the Altus test, I think because Casper mattresses came out. Anyway, you want to also maybe say in the sandwich theory any other possibilities. You're not saying they should do this, you're saying if that laptop person gives the other person their laptop, this could be very helpful in their situation since they do not need the money, and maybe that person can give some money in to that person for the laptop. Or on the other hand, so another situation, the person does not give the laptop and sells it. However, the other person who needs a laptop maybe reaches out to their mother or father for some extra money, or their brother or sister has an extra laptop and maybe they can get a laptop that way. So it could just be like, you just never know, and etc. You just kind of have to include, that would be nice if you had the time to include those stuff, but if you don't have time to do that, that's totally fine. Just kind of have an answer that is nice to read, professional, etc. Nothing's worse than not finishing what you're saying and then nobody understands what you're saying. It's better to just finish something and have someone understand it than to not finish something at all, because no one can assume, you know? Like, honestly, even go as far as saying like, oh, maybe the whole neighborhood can sign a petition for the laptop. Okay, I'm talking about the laptop situation, but this was like another situation where I was reading and another kid was getting bullied, and a lot of the other kids saw in this particular neighborhood, and then maybe the neighborhood could sign a petition. Like, that was the answer that the guide online said. So just come up with like random stuff like that, like story, fairy tale, movie type of things. Like, I didn't grow up in a super wealthy household, so not a lot of these things could apply. Like, no way in my neighborhood somebody would sign a petition. No one would do that. But maybe some cases, some people like, oh, sign a petition, etc. Like, that does not happen in my neighborhood, but I said it for the purpose of the exam, of the test. It's not an exam. Yeah, I hope that helps. I hope I answered all of the questions that I had even in my head about the Altus test on the day. It's not as scary as you think it might be. It's literally just typing. Just calm down, don't have too much coffee. I'd say if you get really jittery, and just try to keep your cool. And also, Grammarly does not work, or any like grammar stuff on the website. They've totally blocked all of that stuff, so really depend on your own typing, I must say. Just have professional background, be cool, be calm, have scrap paper if you need, and just practice. Honestly, a lot of practicing. I typed so many pages and pages on Word doc just to like answer questions, and read a lot, and just set a lot of time and energy into reading, typing, and having an adequate amount of rest so that you can do this test awesomely, get a really good score. You have to email them about your score also, and do really good, and hopefully you get into the med school, nursing school. Anything that you want to do, you can do, as long as you just do it, because you have to manifest that. Yeah, if you have any questions, you can totally comment down below. You can go on my Instagram and ask me questions. I'm based in BC. I'm doing LPN to RN right now. I've had a few foreigners message me about like how to get to RN school, or like is LPN better, or can they bridge, etc. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of like nursing questions, so if you have any questions, let me know. And I hope you do really well on the Casper test. I will leave a detailed description down below if what I just said doesn't make sense. Hopefully it helps you and you get a good mark. Let me know, and share this with anyone, so that or share this with your friend that you also want to get into nursing school or whichever school, so that you guys can both get a good mark. Because for my bridging, they took 40% of my score was based on the Casper test, and then the rest was based on my LPN grades. So just imagine. And I'm just so lucky. I feel so lucky. Sometimes I'm at school and I'm like, seriously, I got in and I can't wait to become an RN, and I am like doing an RN journey type vibe on my channel, so it'd be so nice if you could subscribe. I'm gonna make occasional nursing videos on whatever I can, and how I prepare for each rotation, because I don't find a lot of those videos on YouTube. And thank you again so much for watching my video, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!